Hi, Brian.
Hey, Karen.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. We have a wonderful guest today. Would you like to introduce?
Oh, you want me to introduce today?
Yes.
Today on the show, we have Dr.Airaina Griffith-Knight, and she is from North Carolina. And I met her at the Natural Hair Industry Convention like an eternity ago. It's been a long time now. Like since COVID, we missed a year, and so it was a trip. We approached each other. We were like, hey, I'm from here. Who are you? What's your IG? We were just like chit chatting, and it was really natural. And then, did we go to dinner together? I will have to talk about that. So Brian, please tell our audience, who Dr.Airaina Knight is, because this woman, she is a healer, in my opinion, wouldn't you say? Not just a loctician.
Well, I'm really thrilled to hear Dr. Airaina's story, but the idea of cosmet agriculture is something that fascinates me. So she has brought trichology, trichoanalysis, the health of the hair from the inside out, and incorporated that into her whole practice, which obviously is hair related. But I just love the idea that we have someone that has taken an intrinsic approach to health and well-being, and really established that. And so I'm really excited to hear more about it. So welcome.
Yes. Hi, Dr.Airaina. Do we call you doctor? I love that. I think that's great that we have you on the show today. So please say hello. Welcome.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Brian. How are you?
We're great. We're cold.
Oh, yeah. It's a little chilly here, too. Thanks for having me, though. I'm so excited. Like, Karen and Brian, I'm here talking to you. I can't believe it.
The world of technology.
The last time I saw you, we were at the Jamaican restaurants.
Yes.
And it was Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, we had such a great night. Like, just catching up. Like, I think that was one of the first conventions that I ever went out with colleagues after. And just went out and we had good food, good conversation, both Taja and Damien.
Yeah.
And we just hung out. That was cool.
How is Taja?
Taja is well. Taja is actually in the process of getting her own salon. Actually, she purchased one of my franchises and she is probably about 2 weeks in now. So
good for
she's
her.
doing well. She had a baby boy back in December.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah,
amazing.
she's a mover and a shaker.
Yeah.
So a little backstory on the Natural Hair Convention. So Karen and I went 3 years ago, and we launched our Noggin Oil brand there in Atlanta. And I don't know what it was about that city, but it was an incredibly fun, warm, inviting event. And I have such incredibly fond memories. And you're talking about going out after. We made some amazing friends in those 3 days, and still communicating via Instagram and stuff. But what is it about Atlanta? Is it something that is unique about the community there, do you think?
I think so. Well, I'm in New York. I was born and raised in New York. I relocated to Fayetteville to live with my dad. And I love Fayetteville. Fayetteville, North Carolina is a great place to be. Going to Atlanta, though, is always fun. I can remember as a high schooler, a college student, like Atlanta always has so much to bring, and you can do a lot in a little bit of time. So Atlanta is not New York, right? But Atlanta is a city where, like, New York never sleeps. In Atlanta, they shut down. We were leaving the restaurant, wasn't nowhere else to go, nothing to do. So we were happy to go back to our hotel, but they have so many hotels, so many conventions that there's always so many people around just loitering out, like loitering, and just you can always find someone to talk to and connect with from somewhere. Yeah, especially that downtown hub. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. But,
Right. Can't
Yeah.
wait to go back.
yeah. I want y'all to come to Fayetteville though.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Brian and I were going to do a tour. We're going
Yes,
to
we have to do.
we're going to hit all the different states with all of our
Okay.
guests, and then we're going to pop over to Dubai and go see Chris McDread.
Oh, I would like to go to Dubai to see. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Come with.
Yeah.
The more the merrier. So let's bring it back. You were talking about how Tanja has taken one of your franchises. So please tell our audience the name of your brand and talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so I am the proud owner of Nuwbns Incorporated. And Nuwbns is a holding company for the intellectual property of the LocksHouse, Nuwbns Natural Hair Gallery, the Hair Rejuvenation Clinic, and Hairlooms Natural Hair Braiding Academy. So yeah,
Wow.
I started this company in 2017. First, I started my businesses in 1997, just building a hair gallery. And I had no idea that natural hair would climb as hard and as fast as it did. So I was able to complete college in the industry. I was able to step away and have my children and nurture them for 10 years and come back in. And it's like the internet took over and I'm like, whoa. So I'm a legit dinosaur. Like it took me forever. I'm like, okay, I know she sent me the Zoom link. Where is it? So
Don't worry, we're all struggling, honey. It's not just you.
So when I came back to the industry, it's like a world of just electronics. And so I just really had to like get focused. So in 2018, we had a hurricane to come, Hurricane Florence. And we had to shut down. So we shut down for 9 months and then we had to reopen. So during that 9 months, I was able to just kind of look at like, okay, what am I doing here? How am I doing? Because when I came into business in 1997, I didn't realize I was going into business. I just finished cosmetology school and voila, I was in a salon. So the way that it kind of began for me is in college and I braided my hair. Well, God gave me braids at the age of 7, first of all. And when I moved to North Carolina from New York, it's like I could braid. And I didn't realize how much of a skill or a blessing it was to have the skill. And I actually made it to the top of the chain in cheerleading. So I became the captain of cheerleading. I would braid everybody's hair, just braid it up in one thing coming up, and then they would tease the bangs. But that was it. So that's how I gained popularity as the girl that could braid. And so whenever I went to college, I just braided my hair and the girl hollered at, she said, who braided your hair? And I said, I did. And she said, can you braid mine? Before you know it, I was braiding everybody's hair on campus.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Wow.
much so that I flunked out of college. I think I flunked out of college and I transferred to another college 4 times before I got 1 degree.
But your
Wow.
calling was in hair.
Yeah.
So the journey of going into college to try to figure things out, you didn't flunk out, you changed directions.
Yeah. But the way that it came to me was I wanted to take over work in the student center because they had a beauty salon. And so they said, oh no, you have to have license. And I'm just like, okay, well, to braid hair, you have to have license. And I'm like, that's a thing? I didn't grow up going to the beauty salon or the beauty parlor. So I had no knowledge of the beauty culture. And so when they sent me, I went and researched, got into cosmetology school, completed cosmetology school, came back to the student center, it had shut down.
Are you kidding me? Wow, all that work.
All of that work. And then on top of that, there was a ruling that came down from North Carolina saying like, oh, braiders don't have to be licensed. It's a cultural art.
That is insane.
Oh, wow.
But I'm
Wow.
glad that I went
Got the
though.
license. So that's,
Yeah.
you know, you might never have gotten it. And so then
Mhm.
what happened?
So, okay. I'm glad that I went to cosmetology school because like I went to cosmetology school, but I did not feel that they had prepared me to come out and do what cosmetologists were supposed to do. Like I didn't feel comfortable cutting on my own. I didn't feel comfortable relaxing ladies' hairs. I was petrified. I'm like, man, especially like working with Black women, you don't want to cut, do the wrong cut. You don't want to burn nobody's scalp
Every
out.
inch matters. That's right.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to. So I stood up on graduation day when they announced my name. I said, I'm just going to stick with what I know, and that's braiding. So that's what it was for me. So every day while I was in cosmetology school, I would go to someone's house and I would have a head to do. So that's how I made it through. Like I would work in the evening and I would learn the skill in the daytime. So whenever I would go to someone's house, I had my whole kit. I did everything that I was taught to do in school. I laid out my nice little towel and put all my implements that I was going to use. And, you know, I was very, very, very astute, very professional. And so that's kind of how I got passed around the city.
Wow.
So, so then after that, one of my frat brothers came right before I graduated. He was like, you know, somebody told me that you were getting ready to graduate over here. I got something I want you to see. So I followed him over. He's like, you know, I got a barbershop. And I'm like, no, I didn't know. So he told me, he said, took me over to the place. I looked at it and he was like, well, I want $75 a week for this booth, but I'll give you 2 weeks free. And so I said, okay. So I graduated, went to the beach, celebrated, came back, and I moved all of my things in that one suite in the back of that barbershop. And the rest was history.
Wow.
It's so much. I did go back to Fayetteville State. So I did graduate. In fact, I was at Fayetteville State. I was running my business in the back of the barbershop. And I ended up going back to instructor school and got a full scholarship from my beauty school instructor. So yeah, I was doing all of that. And then finally, I graduated from Fayetteville State, graduated from instructor school, still had my booth in the barbershop. And well, before I graduated from Fayetteville State, I did travel to Africa. And I was excited. I did a study abroad program. So I was excited to go because I'm like, I'm going to see a lot of, excuse me, a lot of braids, a lot of locks and everything. That was my expectation, a lot of natural hair. But when I got there, I didn't. So I was kind of perplexed about that. And so that is what sent me on a journey to be like I kind of grew into like a mad scientist. I was just experimenting box relaxers. I was researching, you know, like box relaxers, the manufacturers, the presence of damaged hair, everything. And so then I decided that I wanted to work on my master's degree. And so it's with my master's degree that I was able to actually go to, where did I go? I went back to my teacher at Fayetteville Beauty College to just kind of let her know what I wanted to do. And she actually put me on the right track. But then I went to New York, and that's where I met Diane Bailey at Medgar Evers University. So it's with her in the New York 92 that inspired me to come back to North Carolina and do things differently. And I'm like, okay, so with my master's degree, it was titled, my thesis was North Carolina Hair Braid is Outlawed. So I actually researched all of the states to see who had a natural hair law and who had natural hair braiders protected under their laws. And so I did that research.
How many states roughly, like percentage wise?
Ooh, I don't remember. It was higher then than was now. There was some states that still had to go to cosmetology school, so there were no independent braiders laws. So I want to say New York, maybe California, Texas. I want to say it was like 6 states that had a braiders law, and then North Carolina came in. So we had the first curriculum for natural hair care at Fayetteville Tech University. So I helped them to get that, and that was under the continuing education department. And we started with just the beginners class, and then we went on to a beginners, intermediate, and advanced program. And then also lobbied the state to get a license, because in my research, my opening statement was you wouldn't go to a doctor if they didn't have any license. So, so that was where it kind of stemmed from. And then one door kept opening to the next. So, yeah.
And then trichology, how did that happen?
Okay, so earlier on in my career, I went to Atlanta. I was at the Barner Brothers convention, and I took it was Talia's convention, the natural hair industry convention, where I met trichologist Rodney Barnett, and his presentation was so intriguing. Like, I never looked at it from that perspective. And then I didn't have the money to go to his full program, so I just had to just kind of keep it in the corner of my mind. But then when I did have the finances intact to go, I couldn't find him. Couldn't find him anywhere, nowhere. And so then I came in contact with like USTI, Danielle McBride, and TTI, and just, I realized like, oh, okay, so trichology. So I just kind of went and collected classes. And then at the premiere show, who did I see? Rodney Barnett. So I went back, I went to the premiere show just to reconnect with him, and just told him like, 15 years ago, you really opened an eye. And I'm so glad to finally have met you again. And, this time being experienced, because I was involved heavily in the industry when I reconnected with him. So I knew a lot of ins and outs, and, and so then I took his class in Dallas, and then I came back and I took another class with him in San Antonio and became a member of his cohort. I also met with Tony Love. Actually, I think I connected with Tony Love for natural hair practitioner. Natural hair. No. What was her thing? Gracious. And I have the certificate in the other room. Let me see. Hair replacement. Hair replacement.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
so non-surgical hair replacement. Yes, non-surgical hair replacement. And so couple, those two programs together is what really got me involved in non-surgical hair replacement, what to do with people when they're losing hair, how to, cover it up. So
that's great.
That's kind of how it, yeah.
It's amazing how you brought all that together in one discipline, really. And what an incredible service to offer.
Yeah. So the master's, I did my master's through Central Michigan University, and it was a master's program, adult education and general administration. So every time we had to introduce, I just remember my saying, I'm just here so I can figure out how to put my empire together. I just want to know about the education component, and I wanted to know about the administration component. And so then I also found the National Beauty Cultures League. Have you ever heard of the National Beauty Cultures League?
No, but I'm intrigued.
Okay, so the National Beauty Cultures League is an organization for cosmetologists. They've included barbers and nail techs and natural hair over the years, but it was established in 1919. It was kind of, if you saw Madam C.J. Walker's movie where they brought all of the cosmetologists from all over the world, that was the beginning of the National Beauty Cultures League. And so
Been around a while.
it's been around a while. And I've met some amazing women. Like, for instance, there's a lady, her name is Dr. Vernicia Marks. She was in the industry. Well, she just turned 100, right?
Wow.
So, and she lives in Chicago. She owned a hair salon for 65 years.
Wow.
Bless her. Wow.
Yes. She
Incredible.
raised her children, grandchildren. I think she has like 5 generations. And so I say that because it's important to know that there are still like legends here and, that are living, that have done amazing things. So at the National Beauty Cultures League, they have programs to help you further your education. Hold on. I got a knock at my door. Hold on.
Well, that's a good time
We're
to
gonna
take
break.
a commercial break.
Okay.
We'll be right back after these messages.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Loc Talk is proudly sponsored by World Hair and Skin. Clean, minimal, and effective products not tested on animals to help you save on your plastic footprint and stay healthy. Karen, your hair looks super cool today, man.
Oh,
What's going on?
thanks, Brian. I have Noggin Oil to thank.
What is Noggin Oil?
You don't know what Noggin Oil is? I have
No.
a cleanser, a toner, and a moisturizer for my scalp.
And those 3 little roller balls look very cute. What are they?
Great question, Brian. We have Replenish, which is like a light moisturizer for your noggin. We have the Chill, which is for alleviating tension and discomfort to the scalp, especially during tightening services for locks or braids. And Glow is the multi-carrier treatment oil, and it's more of your heavy-duty moisturizer for the noggin. Great for these winter months and great for extra dry scalp.
For parted hairstyles, sectioned hair,
Locks, braids, hair extensions, weaves, twists, anything.
amazing. Looks beautiful and minimal and healthy.
Loc Talk is sponsored by Modlocks, modest hair, modified dreadlocks, modern world. Hey, Brian, catch!
Because good-looking locks like this don't happen without great education.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
And we're back.
Hey.
It's a funny commercial to listen to. Actually. We're, Noggin Oil sponsors Loc Talk as well as World Hair and Skin and Modlocks. And so we just thought we'd throw in a little quick break there for you.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm
But you
here
know
at
what's funny? You had a knock at the door and then 30 seconds later, my phone rang here.
the life of entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, exacther.
Yeah.
But we're really curious about curious about the non-surgical hair procedures, hair replacement procedures. And Brian has a plethora of questions too. So maybe we can jump into that, sort of ask you some questions and can elaborate a little bit more about these procedures, because we have a lot of questions. I even actually talked to you about one client that I have that has what is
CCCA.
A. And can you tell everybody what that stands for? Because I can never remember.
Uh-oh. I can never get it. It's central to tripical alopecia.
Yeah. Yeah.
CCCA, central cicatricial. What's that other C for? It's a scarring type of alopecia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
So
hereditary.
it's actually like it's a type of alopecia where the follicle has been closed, and so hair will not be able to come through the scalp in that area.
Mhm. And
Oh, okay.
that can be treated medically, can't it?
There are procedures for those types of persons. When I come across things like that, I typically refer them to a dermatologist. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah. Only
And
thing I can do is like soothe, as far as like with herbal rinses and tonics and things of that nature. But I typically don't do a lot with CCCA.
Okay.
that type of scarring too, is that also something that happens to people that frequently relax their hair or go somewhere that it's not done properly, so that it ends up forming a scar on the scalp? Because
Mhm.
I've seen that as well.
There are some studies that are being conducted on that. So, and the studies that they're looking at, see, when I was working on my master's degree, that's what I wanted to do. So my practice says, well, listen, just because I wanted to prove like, oh, the relaxers do this, they do that. And just because there's correlation doesn't necessarily mean that there's causation. So to be able to look and research, that's kind of like a longitudinal study. And when
Mhm.
you're working on your master's, you really don't have that type of time to put into it. Therefore, it's something that, he says, well, just get your degree and then save the world. And so then I got the degree and just got fascinated with locking. And so I kind of left that research behind and just kind of got into creating locks and, how can I do this? And so when it comes to non-surgical hair replacement, I like to do it with locking. So I'll create the locks to create a unit. There's not really a big demand in my area. I know once I actually get out on the internet and people know that that's what I do, there'll probably be a greater demand, but really that's not my focus either. I kind of always loved Shirley Chisholm, and I wanted to just be a humanitarian. So I'm actually looking to connect with someone that I can give the science, that has a passion that they want this to be their focal point, and I want to share that with them. So that's kind of what I do. Like I've opened up the area, opened up the center, and I have knowledge of it. But for me, it's just about education because my master's degree is in education. And that's adult education.
This is great.
And
Because now you've actually just told the world that you're looking for somebody.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking for a lot of
And for
somebodies.
the people, right? For the people to spread the word, but to share your education with people who are passionate about this specific area of creating lock pieces. Is that correct?
Yes, lock units. And
Yeah.
so it's so ironic. Like I never imagined myself in the hair industry, but that's where I found myself. And it's so interesting listening to Bryant speak about being a healer. Like I do feel like it's a ministry to be where I am, as far as like with teaching people, teaching adults. For me, like within our culture, we kind of sometimes, and it's kind of like subconsciously, we have felt like God had forgotten about us. And so being able to spread awareness, especially like in the early 90s, 2000, about natural hair when it wasn't popular, and to be able to let people know like, hey, this is how God created you. He created you in his own image. He didn't create you to where your hair grows straight out from your scalp. You know, you have coily hair, and so you have to embrace it. So just being able to help people to understand that, and you know, like, you can wear locks, like it's nothing dreadful, you know. So we speak about the dreads, and so I'm always educating people, and I'm always educating people on the reason why I spell locks Locks as opposed to Locs. And so with my original research, you know, like if you look in the Bible, locks is written in the Bible. That was the original term for hair. And so when they speak about locks, that's exactly what it is. So then exploring Nikina Evans and other authors, you know, just understanding where the dread came from, and just understanding that dread was the negative connotation that was placed on locks to say, to foster some type of inferiority seed or complex. So saying dreads onto the locks, it was an adjective. So it's funny to me how people have over the years dropped the noun and have taken the adjective to create a new noun. And so it's called dreads instead of locks. And locks is the noun, but we've accepted the dread portion. And so I know, like, early on in my career, people was like, oh, I'll never, dreads, they look nasty. Oh, do they wash their hair? Oh, what do they put on it? You got to put a whole bunch of beeswax. And, you know, so to dispel myths and rumors and allow people to see the beauty of it all. I remember just kind of like watching the Loc Talks and just resonating so much with what a lot of your speakers have been saying, especially like when it comes to learning about textured hair and cosmetology schools and, you know, things of that nature. And it's just like, the education that needs to be out here is just not here, you know? And so that's kind of how it's been over the years, just kind of helping people to replace that dreads or remove the dreads and just letting them know, hey, my hair is not an adjective. So, and then look, there's nothing dreadful about my locks.
Yeah.
I love that.
And so having to let people know and to tell them that, and just kind of spread that message, and, you know, hey, God didn't forget about us. We, you know, we're in there. So when it speaks about locks and having 7 locks, and, you know, what do you ever envision that to look like when you speak 7 locks? Do you actually think that someone just had 7 strands of hair?
One for every day. One for every day of the week.
So, but
well,
can be 7, people can grow their hair into 7 locks. Like, I originally started with really, really fine locks, and over the years, I've just been combining them to make them, you know, I don't know that I want 7, but I do. I like the thicker locks, and I left behind the notion that in order for it to be professional, it has to be thin. I think professionalism is a state of mind and a state of being. It's about what's in your briefcase, not what's on the outside. Because when I'm looking for someone, once I get beyond the hair, once you sit in my presence, it's about what comes out. It's not, you know, like, I've met very articulate and intelligent people that didn't have their hair slicked back on their head. So, you know, as an employer, I'm about, how can you help me to advance my company? And I think that there are a lot of employers that feel the same way. They could care less about what's on the outside. It's, how can you advance me? So if your outer being is a mess and your inner being is a mess, then that's just what it is. But if your inner being is intact, because a lot of times you can't. And so when it comes to transposing the beauty, you can't choose what's on the outside. Like you can't choose the color of your skin. You can't choose your eye color. You can't choose your build. You know, you are who you are from DNA. But what you can choose is what you put in your body, what you put in your mind, how you rest, how you exercise. And if you can transpose that to the outside, then the world will see you as a beautiful being, as opposed to just looking at a person, because there's so many looks that people have. You know, so I look at hair from a multicultural, transcontinental beauty perspective. What does that look like? That's everybody is interconnected.
Yes, oh, for sure. Such wonderful words. And how many people have you met or come across, crossed your paths, that they have this that is just so perfect and well put together, and then you say 10 words to them and you know that this is not matching what's going on inside, right? So it's so not about that. And I think in a way, that's why locks have become more popular, because it's almost like a filtering mechanism. You know, it makes people want to go in a little deeper, you know, to find out what's going on there. I don't know.
I think that I see that as well, because it's like you can't, and we've been taught as kids, you can't judge a book by its cover. Yet and still we grow up as adults and we judge books by covers.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trained. It's like a defense mechanism.
But
really.
Where does that training come from? Where does it come from? We've been taught. Like, I know that my mother always told me, you don't judge a book by its cover. How do I learn? Where did I learn to judge a book by its cover?
Experience in life. And I also think, and I mentioned this to Chris on our other episode, that we as humans naturally gravitate to familiarity, right? So if you're familiar, if you're only around people of one skin color or one background, or, you know, you're in the same town, one small community of people, you don't actually get a chance to learn about other cultures or other living lifestyles. And until you break that barrier, until you step outside of what is familiar to you, then your familiarity circle grows. Right? So we're in a very multicultural populated city. I'm surrounded by everybody, every walk of life. And I have friends of every different type of background and so forth. Even class, right? When you talk about different education, different finances, what have you. And ultimately, and I said this before, humans, we have one thing in common. We all want love and purpose. And so if we can get past, as you say, we sort of get comfortable with who we're around and talk to different people and have conversations like we're having today, then we will realize that we're not that different.
And you know what else? It's interesting, Karen and Airaina. I also am from not a hair background at all. Never thought I would be a hairstylist. And this place, it's been 31 years. I've had the salon now. So many of our guests are exactly the same. Like, they stumbled into doing what they're doing, hair related work, locks, braids, whatever. And you start off there and then it becomes something else. Like for me, I had contact dermatitis on my hands really seriously after 10 years of being a stylist. And it was almost like the end of my career. And so my focus shifted to health, what we're putting on our bodies, and trying to educate as many people as I can about healthier options. And so focusing on the inside like you do, and making things come out and blossom and grow, and community, building the community, that's also like one of my passions, and Karen as well. And so many guests on Loc Talk have mentioned very similar stories and very similar paths. And you start one place and then you end up wanting to sort of take it somewhere else. And it's almost always community focused and spiritually focused. And so it was just wonderful hearing your story. It really resonated with me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Really, this has been such a fun episode, actually. I've really enjoyed hearing your story too. And so we are kind of running out of time. I want to talk all day long, I know. And listen to you all day long. But Brian, before we go, did you have like one or two more questions for Dr. Airaina?
Well, I was just wanting to ask about your lock business. Like, what percentage of your work would you say is focused on locks compared to everything else?
Okay, so as I began to explain, like there's, we're talking about over 24 years. One of the things that one of my customers helped me to realize, and now I'm bringing to make sure that my students and my apprentices know this, like successfully for 23 years, I've managed to be at a place that I told a person that I was going to be at that appointed time. So it's more than just having a skill, but being there for your clients. Like you cannot build a successful business if you can't meet your appointments. You shouldn't take an appointment if you know that you're not stable enough to be there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. When we speak about locks, I teach that it's a commitment of at least 24 months before the hair is completely locked. So if you consult with a person and you decide to take them on the journey, you need to be there with them for 24 months. And so my lock business grew incredibly fast. When we left for the hurricane, I was doing everything in that one building. When we came back, I said, we can't do this anymore. The LocksHouse is going to have to get its own home. And so I found a place for the LocksHouse to go. We see probably about 85 people per week in one lock salon. And that's from Tuesday through Saturday. Some Mondays, some Sundays, but for the most part, sometimes it's a little bit more than that, at least 10, 12 people a day. Some days it's like 22, 24 people per day.
Wow.
And that's with lock-in. And so with my technicians, I've trained my technicians to be able to do a retwist in 22 minutes or less. So that's kind of what we're noted for, 22 minutes or less on a retwist, on a traditional palm roll retwist. And that's something else, like the way that people palm. And I'm like, okay, just kind of coming with the science, because that's what I teach. I'm a scientist. I come from the science perspective. Like artists, like I'm not the most creative cosmetologist, but if you show me a style, I can break down to what percentage is, and so with my loctician certification course, I actually teach them, and actually I had some notes on the board, but yeah, so I actually teach them how. And so they can't get on the floor until they're able to at least do 25 minutes. So I say, hey, your chair should be rotating. And that's an average, because there are some that's going to take longer and some that's going to take less. But if these people are coming to you every 3 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, you should be able to get them in, because you would learn their hair. You already know the texture, the curl pattern, the curl configuration, the foundation has been set. It's easy. You don't have to twist and primp, and it's all about just being deliberate, knowing what you came to do, doing it, getting it done, getting that person to the dryer, and being able to accept another client. And so that's kind of how we do.
That's good business.
Amazing.
Yeah, so the LocksHouse is like that. And we're known in town. We have the first full service hair locking salon in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So we actually have a lot of firsts. The Nuwbns brand has a lot of firsts. So we had the first curriculum taught at Fayetteville Tech, the first natural hair salon, the birthplace of the natural hair braiders law regulation, the first lock salon, and the first private-owned natural hair care school in Fayetteville.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yes.
Thank you
you
for
are a
giving me the
legend.
opportunity to think about it.
A lot. If you
It's a
want
lot.
something done, you give it to a busy person. That's
Yeah.
the
Oh, okay.
I want to
Yeah.
come take classes.
I want you to come take classes, and I want to get to the point where I can do like online classes. I don't know, but the dinosaur in me just keeps winning
Yeah.
and winning. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to find somebody that can help elevate me, because I'm a firm believer there's a job for everybody. If this is what you're good at, we should link together and let's work together.
Mhm.
And that's the way that
Yeah.
we're gonna grow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we did Loc Talk, because we wanted to share everybody's conversation. We love talking, right? And we love locks. So it just seemed kind of natural to do this.
And it's so inspiring hearing people's stories, isn't it? It's just wonderful.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
it.
When I know that there's a Loc Talk coming on, I get excited. I'm like, yes. And I'm just like, I'll watch it and watch it on YouTube. I'm like, and I love intriguing conversations about hair and the science, and it's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
looking at it
science
from
too.
something other than an art.
I think that you're going to get a lot of questions. People are going to be commenting, and we're going to put your contact information below in the comments and in the description, and so they can reach out to you, and we can continue the conversation. But in the meantime, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you have your Noggin Oil by chance? Do you have any?
No.
Well, we're going to send you our product line, Noggin Oil, and it is specially designed for parted hairstyles, locks, twists, braids, extensions.
Okay.
All natural ingredients. Brian and I developed this product line together to solve problems. That's what we do. And maybe what we'll do is we'll also send a combo to one of our listeners. Maybe we'll pick a really clever question from the comments, somebody who has a really great, interesting question for you, Dr. Airaina, and we'll reach out to them. So there you go.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything you want to add?
I can't wait to see it. I think I started ordering and never completed, and one thing, another, because I know that I contacted you about it, and Tasha and I discussed it and wanted to carry. We were really excited, and then I don't know what happened. We just kind of got busy. Maybe I think the pandemic came.
I think it was. I was going to say COVID.
Yeah, and it just kind of rearranged our momentum, because when we came back from the natural hair show, like we were really like, woo. The next thing we know is like, okay, here comes COVID. Begin to get a plan for being out of the shop now.
Yeah.
And then deadline, and we were out, and then it's like, oh, we may be opening. Not this week, next week. And so then when we came, it's just kind of like we had to make sure that all of the sanitation and everything was just so, and it's been one thing after another. I did kind of come up. Now, the thing about the Noggin Oil, isn't that like is it like a dry shampoo? Is that the one? No.
So it's funny because we often get mistaken for being a dry shampoo. It is essentially a showerless cleanser. So Brian developed this product to solve the problem because he works out a lot and he has sweaty scalp sometimes. And time is of the essence, and he didn't want to always wet his locks, because when you wet them, of course, the elasticity stretches and it can cause some issues in drying time and yada yada. So he developed this product, all natural ingredients, and you literally spray it on the scalp, use a wet cloth and massage the scalp, and it's totally clean. You don't have to cut your locks. You can do it as often as you want. It's grab and go. very convenient. So the difference between this product and what would be a dry shampoo is a dry shampoo still has to be shampooed out. You don't
Okay.
leave it in. Eventually you're going to have a buildup, but this product is a cleanser. So it will dissipate with the wet cloth and remove the buildup.
Okay. I think that a lot of people will like that for retail.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
what we're telling our clients and our locticians who are doing the services is that you can incorporate a combo with every service, because the wash, if you don't even have time to properly traditionally shampoo your client's hair, you use the wash spray in lieu of that to clean their scalp. So you're working on a nice, clean, healthy scalp. The roller bottles, mess-free, time-saving, you know, and then you can incorporate the combo, roll the oil on their scalp before, during, after the service, and then they take that combo with them. So because some people are concerned, which is very fair, concerned about cross-contamination. So that's how we go around that, because they are personal size, right? They're for the client. And so the chill in particular, this is for itchy scalp and for tension with sensitive clients. So palming usually isn't as aggressive as crochet or interlocking, other techniques. And typically, I find personally that the straighter the hair, the more sensitive the scalp, because I personally have very straight hair. When I was a child, I didn't have a lot of tangles, a lot of pulling. So my scalp, because it wasn't manipulated a lot, it became sensitive. Does that make sense? And then we have Replenish and Glow, which are like our moisturizers. So this is a light, fast absorbing oil. You roll it on anytime you want. And then the Glow, this was in high demand because it's a more viscous oil. So it's more staying and protecting the scalp on, and it stays on the surface, and has 6 carrier oils in it, including 2 castor oils.
So the dry shampoo idea is I guess useful, but I personally do not like them because they build up in the hair, and your scalp is also getting build up on it. So what's happening is the sebum is basically sticking to your scalp and your hair. The dry shampoo is sticking to your scalp. And I mean, I was training for marathon and running so much, and especially in the warmer months, my scalp was just getting really funky. And so I came up with this idea. And honestly, if you just spritz the scalp and then take a washcloth after you've done your whole scalp and just go through and remove what you've sprayed on, there's a combination of very mild cleansers in the wash and essential oils, therapeutic grade essential oils. So it smells incredible. And honestly, it felt like I washed my whole head.
It probably feels refreshing.
Incredibly refreshing. And you can do it once a week. You can do it, once a day, depending on how much you want. And so it's a very easy product to use and to, like Karen was saying, bring into your salon. And and
I think it sounds good too, because people are always asking, like, what can I put on my hair? I work out a lot, So the Noggin Oil, and I think the title is clever too, Noggin Oil. Like, it just reminds me of my aunt. They used to say, "Oh, get your noggin. I'm gonna get your noggin." So like okay, yes. So I was like, yeah, I've been intrigued with that. So yeah, I definitely will, and I hope you send me like some brochures and some information so that I can encourage it as something that they would take with them. I think that a lot of people would be interested. I actually have been dilly-dallying with my own lock line. And so with herbal rinses and serums and a base and a lock bath. So I'm kind of staying away from the shampoo, just doing a lock bath. And
that sounds cool. Sounds super cool. I love that.
Yeah. And then there's a pre-wash, a scalp cleanser, like a pre-wash. So it actually is not what the Noggin Oil wash does, but actually for people that are fasting, just kind of removes the dirt, dust, debris from the scalp, and makes it receptive to receiving the hot oil treatment. So, yeah,
cool.
yeah. And so
Sounds
it's
great.
nothing for them to take home. So definitely the Noggin Oil will be something that they can retail. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Compliment, definitely. Thank you
Mhm.
so
And we-
much for being with us today.
Yes,
Thank
thanks
you.
for
It was
having me. I
wonderful.
appreciate it. Yeah, this is
We'll be in
fun.
We'll be in touch. We'll send you some
Uh-huh.
product and we'll see you online, okay? And hopefully in person one day again soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm looking
right.
forward to it.
We'll come
Brian,
visit
it
you in
was-
Fayetteville.
listen, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Thanks everybody for listening to another
Okay.
episode of Loc Talk. We'll see you
Take
next
care.
time.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Loc Talk. Loc Talk. This episode of Loc Talk was brought to you by.
Noggin Oil, Modlocks, World Hair and Skin.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.